Approximately 10 years ago, my partner and I embarked on a journey together that began in the digital realm of online dating. After navigating the complexities of modern romance, we eventually entered into matrimony. And now, we are proud to celebrate 9 wonderful years together as a married couple. Throughout the years, we have built a life filled with love, laughter, and shared responsibilities, co-owning a cozy home where we raise our 2 little ones, both of whom are under the tender age of 6. Over the course of our relationship, we have encountered our share of challenges, particularly in the realm of finances. Yet, the foundation of our relationship has always been strong communication. We have learned to express our thoughts openly, work through disagreements thoughtfully, and support each other through thick and thin. However, recently, our harmonious relationship has been tested by an unexpected turn of events that has left me feeling uneasy and quite concerned. It all began with my spouse's growing friendship with a colleague at their workplace, a person I shall refer to as Alex. My partner would often come home animated, sharing stories and experiences about Alex, who, according to my spouse, possesses a similar sense of humor and has children attending the same school as ours. Their enthusiasm was infectious. I could see that this newfound camaraderie brought a spark into my partner's eyes. However, beneath the surface of these light-hearted conversations lay a sense of uncertainty that began to gnaw at me. The other evening, as I was tucked away in our living room, I found myself charging an iPad that was synchronized with my spouse's phone. As the device powered up, I received a notification alert from an unidentified number, a message that was distinctly directed towards my partner. The words were unusually effusive and complimentary, more so than typical banter among friends. While I pride myself on respecting privacy and refraining from snooping into my partner's messages, something about this interaction felt different. The tone struck me as remarkably sincere, perhaps even intimate. I paused momentarily, the screen casting a soft glow on my face, illuminating an overwhelming swirl of emotions within me. My heart raced as I wrestled with the impulse to delve deeper into what was unfolding before me. It was as if the universe had thrown an unexpected challenge into our otherwise stable life. Deep down, I struggled with the fear of the unknown and the potential implications of what this new friendship could foster. As the night wore on and I fought against my swirling thoughts, I eventually decided that our strong lines of communication needed to come into play once again. That evening, after I tucked our children into bed, I approached my spouse with a sense of trepidation. "Can we talk?" I managed to say, my voice shaky but resolute. The atmosphere in the room shifted. A mixture of curiosity and concern appeared on my partner's face. We settled into the living room, the comforting hum of our home enveloping us like a warm blanket. "I've been thinking a lot about your friendship with Alex," I began cautiously, keeping my tone neutral in an effort to avoid pushing any defensive buttons. As I spoke, I paid close attention to my partner's reactions, noticing the flicker of surprise in their eyes, followed by a hint of understanding. My spouse immediately began to explain, their voice earnest as they described the nature of their connection with Alex. I listened intently as they spoke of shared laughter, parenting woes, and the camaraderie that often blossoms among colleagues. Yet, beneath their explanations, an unsettling feeling lingered in the back of my mind. "I know you think I might be crossing some boundaries, and maybe I have been a little too carefree with my jokes," my spouse confessed, their honesty cutting through the tension like a knife. "But I assure you, Alex is just a friend, nothing more." Their words hung in the air, heavy in contrast to the light frivolity we typically shared. As the conversation unfolded, I shared my concerns, the anxiety coiling tightly in my chest as I laid bare the implications of the message I saw and how unnecessary but potent jealousy could rear its ugly head. We navigated through the sea of emotions, laughter blending occasionally with more serious undertones. Without realizing it, we began to weave together a new thread in our relationship, one of deeper understanding and respect. Through honest and open dialogue, we found ourselves at a crossroad where trust, affection, and fear danced together, shaping the path forward. I realized that maintaining our solid foundation meant continually fostering this openness, especially when challenges like these arose. As the evening came to a close, we left the conversation with a renewed sense of commitment, not just to each other, but to navigating the risks that life holds for us. In the days that followed, I felt a shift in the dynamic of our relationship. While I remained cautious, I also made a conscious effort to rebuild my trust, focusing on our shared history and unwavering bond. My spouse, too, actively made strides to reassure me of the value we share in our lives, and together, we grew stronger, navigating both the challenges and triumphs as partners cohesive in our intentions. In the end, life with its uncertainties often leads to growth, and I learned that it's possible to emerge from trials with renewed vigor and deeper connections. Our journey together continues, now shaped by the trials we overcame and the genuine conversations we fostered, reminding us always of the importance of trust, communication, and love in our ever-evolving relationship. As I cautiously peeled open the text messages, a cascade of emotions surged through me. The screen illuminated the words exchanged between my spouse and Alex, revealing an unsettling truth. A physical encounter had occurred earlier in the day. The messages were intimate, laden with implications of pushing boundaries and a wistful sentiment about wishing they had crossed paths long before our lives became tangled with responsibilities and parenthood. With a heavy heart, I took screenshots of their exchanges, preserving this painful evidence for my own records, proof of a reality that felt surreal and agonizing. My fingers trembled as I typed a message to my spouse, hoping to spark a conversation that I dreaded and longed for in equal measure. I began to assemble the pieces of this troubling puzzle, realizing that my spouse had invited Alex over to our home that morning, an unusual choice given her reluctance to have visitors in our private space. After some tentative probing, I confronted her about the situation. It was then that the reality hit me harder than I expected. Alex had been in our house while I was absent. My spouse reluctantly confirmed that they had spent time together discussing work and personal matters, but I felt an instinctive urge to delve deeper. Each word felt like a thread in the tapestry of their interaction, one that I could not ignore. Later, in a twist that left a bitter taste in my mouth, my spouse read my text regarding our conversation. She then sent a decisive message to Alex that struck me like a bolt of lightning. "We're done." Almost immediately after, she reached out to me, requesting a call later when she could find a quiet moment at work. My heart sank even further. I instructed her not to reach out just yet, mentally preparing myself for an evening alone in the dimly lit basement. My sanctuary yet suddenly infused with a heavy burden of betrayal. Since that moment of discovery, I felt a profound numbness envelop me, as if the world had retreated into a blurry haze. In the fleeting hours after the incident, we exchanged a few words. She struggled to articulate her thoughts, each explanation falling short of clarity. She insisted she was happy but found herself lost in the whirlwind of her decisions, unable to reconcile her actions with her feelings. "I swear it was nothing but kissing," she claimed. Yet the messages I had seen hinted at a far more intimate connection. A line had been crossed. The very foundation of trust we had built over the years teetered precariously on the brink. Images of our life together began to flood my mind. Happy moments, laughter shared over dinner, late-night conversations that stretched into the dawn, all fading into shadows against the stark reality of her betrayal. The thought of her lips meeting Alex's, of the warmth of his embrace, seared inside me like an open wound, leaving me raw and vulnerable. I could recall, vividly, the joyful chaos of our mornings, the laughter of our children as they rushed down the stairs, eager to start the day. Those cherished memories now felt tainted, transforming into reminders of a trust that had been shattered. How could she risk what we had fought so hard to build? Days passed, each moment stretching into eternity, enveloped in silence that felt heavy and suffocating. I tried to busy myself with work and the children, putting on a facade of normalcy, but the cracks began to show. I would catch myself staring off into the distance, lost in thoughts too complex to articulate, grappling with feelings of betrayal, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of loss. When we finally sat down to talk face to face again, the air was thick with unspoken words. We sat across from each other, the kitchen table separating us like an invisible chasm. Her eyes were filled with regret, and there was a vulnerability about her that I hadn't noticed before. Yet, the hurt was still fresh within me, boiling beneath the surface, waiting for an outlet. "I don't even know who I am right now," she admitted quietly, her voice trembling. "This all feels like a nightmare I can't wake up from. It's hard to reconcile happiness with what you did," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite the storm of emotions churning inside me. "How could you ignore the life we built together?" "I wasn't thinking. I was caught up in a moment of weakness," she said, tears brimming in her eyes. "It's no excuse, but I need you to understand that it meant nothing beyond that moment." The words hung in the air, and I felt a mix of empathy and rage surge through me. It was as if she had unwittingly opened Pandora's box, unleashing doubts and insecurities that I had long buried. As we continued to navigate this choppy terrain of emotions and revelations, I understood that we were at a crossroads. Would we be able to mend the fractures that had appeared in our relationship, or would this incident mark the beginning of the end for us? It wasn't just about forgiveness. It was about understanding, healing, and redefining our future together or apart. The journey ahead promised to be fraught with challenges, requiring open hearts and rigorous honesty. No matter the outcome, I knew one thing: life would never be the same again. I laid bare the emotional turmoil I was enduring, the ache in my heart echoing with each word I spoke. My spouse's response, however, was little more than a few half-hearted apologies that felt more like hollow platitudes than a sincere effort to understand my pain. I made it abundantly clear that we could no longer pretend everything was fine. We needed to enlist the help of a professional to navigate the choppy waters of our troubled relationship. It was imperative that she began to take ownership of her actions at work, especially since they had crossed the boundary into something that felt far too intimate. She assured me that she would cease all personal contact with Alex, engaging only in professional capacities when absolutely necessary. Yet, her assurances did little to calm the storm brewing within me. I had taken the precaution of keeping copies of their messages, a collection of photographs that represented more than just words on a screen. They were tangible remnants of a betrayal that weighed heavily on my soul, and evidence my spouse was blissfully unaware existed. Doubt reared its ugly head as I contemplated the future of our marriage. Would it withstand this trial, or would my heart lead me to make more drastic decisions? The thought of our children loomed large in my mind, and I found myself wrestling with the notion of how best to address this situation without inflicting further damage. Should I inform Alex's spouse, thus opening a new can of worms? Or was there a more discreet route I could take that would protect my family from added tension? As family commitments drew near on the horizon, birthdays, anniversaries, gatherings, I sought insight from trusted friends and family on how to approach this ordeal with the utmost thoughtfulness and care. I needed a strategy, a way forward that would allow me to confront these issues without regret, all while safeguarding our children's innocence and emotional well-being. Sitting at my kitchen table one quiet evening, the dim light casting shadows on the walls, I felt a mix of fear and resolve washing over me. I replayed the moments we'd shared, the laughter that once echoed through our home, now replaced with heavy silence. I couldn't help but remember when we first met, the excitement of new love and the dreams we had spun together. It felt like a lifetime ago, yet it was just a few years past. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath as I tried to picture the life we'd built, tainted now by uncertainty. My thoughts wandered to the details, the gentle way she would curl her hair in the morning, the sound of her laughter that used to fill the air with warmth. But now, all I could feel was the sharp sting of betrayal that pierced through those memories. I wondered if we could ever get back to that place, or if the trust had been irreparably damaged. As each day passed, the weight of the situation seemed to grow heavier, leaving me in a constant state of anxiety and confusion. And then there were the kids, our precious little ones, blissfully unaware of the tempest brewing just beneath the surface of our family life. The thought of them suffering through the fallout of adult decisions twisted my heart in knots. I found myself watching them play, their laughter like music to my ears, yet it made the contrast of my own turmoil feel even more pronounced. How could I protect them while dealing with my own heartache? One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I decided to have a candid conversation with my spouse. The air was thick with unspoken words, and I knew we could no longer tiptoe around the reality of our situation. I sat her down, my heart racing and palms clammy, ready to confront the issue head-on. "Can we talk?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. "Sure," she replied, her eyes avoiding mine as she sensed the gravity of the moment. "I need you to understand how much this hurts me. This isn't just a passing thing. It's something we need to face together. I can't help but feel betrayed and confused," I said, my voice steadier than I felt inside. She took a deep breath, finally making eye contact, and I could see the flicker of regret in her eyes. "I know, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was just caught up in things, and I never wanted to hurt you." As we began to work through our feelings, I felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps we could rebuild if only we were both committed to the process. I expressed my desire for us to seek counseling together, a way to decode the tangled web of emotions we had woven. I could hear the tentative agreement in her voice as she nodded, echoing my thoughts about starting fresh, although the road ahead felt daunting. The days passed as we started to shift our focus towards healing. We found solace in shared moments, even if some were still tinged with uncertainty. Yet, there was something about the act of sitting together and confronting our issues that seemed to bring us closer, like we were both standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to jump into the unknown together for the sake of our family. Time often has a way of revealing new perspectives. I began to question whether it would be beneficial to reach out to Alex's spouse, whether the truth would set us all free or create more harm than good. I weighed my options, hoping for clarity. I deliberated whether those photographs should be shared or remained my own secret, a shield against a painful reality. As life continued around us, shopping for groceries, planning birthday parties for the children, and attending family gatherings, I held my breath, waiting for the right moment to either speak up or remain silent. My heart whispered for honesty, but the fear of unleashing more chaos held me back. In the end, I made a decision. Whatever path I chose, I needed to act with empathy, consciousness, and a sense of purpose. I wanted this chapter of our lives to be about resilience, about finding a way through the pain together, learning to love with awareness once again. As I sat with my children, laughter spilling over as they played, I felt the corner of my heart begin to heal, slowly but surely, one loving moment at a time. If my story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more. I'd love to hear your advice on the steps I should take. Keep in touch for future stories.